Hi, my name is Amika Jackson, and I will be discussing why were anti-literacy laws passed in the South. Anti-literacy laws were passed in the South for several reasons, and we're going to discuss those key points. One of the key points is that white slave owners, did not want their slaves to have the ability to read because they knew that if they were able to read, they wouldn't be able to hold them captive no more. And meaning they wouldn't be able to keep them in the house on the plantation to do their chores, to be able to go tend to their children, to tend to the farm, and be able to bring back the necessary resources that the plantation needed. There was Margaret Douglas, who was big on reading to slaves and free slaves. The laws even applied to our free slaves. Slave owners knew that if the slaves were able to read or write, that they wouldn't be able to keep them on the plantation. And the only way to stop them were through anti-literacy laws. These laws were only placed in the South and not up north. What the northern blacks did would come down to the South to teach slaves how to read so that they can gain their freedom. But this was an issue because if slave owners found out that their slaves knew how to read or were being taught to read, there would be severe punishments for the person who was learning how to read, as well as for the person who was teaching them how to read. So they had to be able to do things in secrecy and with secrecy and be delicate about the situation. A lot of times in this era, you had many slaves who would go against their slave owners. And as time progressed, you had colleges like Howard University, Fisk University, that were HBCUs, which are historically black colleges and universities, that would tend to help the slaves who weren't free yet in the South. This did cause an issue because the slave owners didn't want the slaves to read. Another key point is that if slaves knew how to read, it would also change the political era and change how things were done on a government level. As well as that, it knew that it would make blacks more superior to their white slave owners, which also would cause fear in the white slave owners. So they were very adamant of not being able to pass down these laws. Even the abolitionists, the white abolitionists that would help the movement, they were also penalized for teaching slaves how to read as well. This was an important time in our history, so that caused the literacy to be able for individuals to be able to read and write and to be able to progress. Thank you for listening to my key points today. Have a great night.